The story of our salvation hinges on two great earth-shattering events: the cross on Friday and the resurrection on Sunday. But between the finality of "it is finished" and the glorious light of the empty tomb, there is a period of profound, heavy silence. It is Holy Saturday, the day the world held its breath, the day the disciples were scattered, their hope entombed with their master. We know his physical body lay, anointed, in a borrowed tomb. But where was his soul? Where was the living person of Christ in that interlude between death and life? The answer is one of the most mysterious, misunderstood, and powerful articles of the Christian faith. Part 1. He descended into hell. This is not a theory, it is a dogma, a central line in the Apostles' Creed. He descended into hell. But to understand this, we must be absolutely clear on what the word hell meant to the ancient world. When the Creed says hell, it does not mean Gehenna, the eternal lake of fire, the hell of the damned. It uses the word Hades in Greek, or Sheol in Hebrew. This was the abode of the dead. This is where all souls, both the just and the unjust, went before the cross. Why? Because the sin of Adam had closed the gates of heaven. Divine justice required the perfect sacrifice, and it had not yet been made. Therefore, the righteous, like Abraham, Moses, David, and John the Baptist, were not in the presence of God. They were in a state of paradise, or the bosom of Abraham. But it was a paradise of waiting, longing for the Redeemer. Part 2. The scriptural clues. The Church does not invent this. Scripture itself points to this mysterious event. In the first letter of St. Peter, he writes that Christ, in the Spirit, went and preached to the spirits in prison. 1 Peter 3:19. These spirits in prison were not the damned. He did not go to offer a second chance to those who had rejected him. No, he went to proclaim the good news, his victory, to the righteous souls held captive by death. In Ephesians, St. Paul speaks of Christ's victory, saying, "He also descended into the lower parts of the earth before he ascended." Ephesians 4:9. Even Jesus, on the cross, promises the good thief, "Today you will be with me in paradise." This paradise was the state of the just which Jesus, in that very moment, was about to enter and open from the inside by virtue of his coming sacrifice. Part 3. The mission of Christ the Conqueror. This brings us to the most crucial point. Why did he go? His soul, still united to his divine nature, descended to Sheol not as a prisoner, but as a king. He went as a liberator. His death was not a defeat, it was a conquest. The ancient church tradition, often called the harrowing of hell, paints a powerful picture of this moment. We see it in our most ancient icons. Christ, radiant in his own light, shatters the gates of Hades. He does not knock. He breaks them down, for death has no power over the author of life. He descends into the darkness, not as a victim, but as a warrior, to preach the gospel, the good news of salvation, to the patriarchs and prophets who had waited centuries for this very moment. In this beautiful tradition, we picture him taking the hand of Adam, our first father, and leading him and all the righteous out of the shadow and into the light of heaven, which his sacrifice had just opened. Part 4. The totality of his victory. This event shows the completeness of Christ's redemptive work. His victory was not just for the people who would be born after him, but also for all the just who had lived before him. He saved all of history, from the beginning to the end. It demonstrates that he is Lord not just of the living, but also of the dead. His incarnation, his death, and his resurrection hallowed every state of human existence, including the state of being dead. He descended to the lowest place, the very depths of human separation, so that he could, as St. Paul says, fill all things. He left no part of creation untouched by his redemptive power. So, where was Jesus? His body lay in the tomb. His soul, in a final, triumphant act of mercy, descended to the dead. He went not as a victim, but as the victor, to break the chains of death and lead the righteous into the glory he had just won for them. Holy Saturday is not just an empty day in between. It is the day of the great, silent conquest. It is the day Christ hallowed our own Holy Saturdays. our own times of darkness, silence, and waiting, when it feels like God is absent. This dogma teaches us that there is no depth, no darkness, no prison of despair, not even death itself, that His light cannot and will not penetrate. He has been there, He has conquered it, and He is waiting to lead us out.